My message is the following. 2023 is going to be a difficult year for the world. And the silver lining can only be that we use it to transform our economies, that we accelerate change that will underpin sounder prospects for growth, and that we, the IMF, fully recognize our responsibility to be a force for good, and a force we will be, all of us.
Back to investors getting hosed, though, in this whole situation, because this does concern the SEC. You just mentioned a long laundry list of the protections that did not exist when it came to oversight for FTX. What agency, who should be ashamed that we are in this situation where customers have lost their money and have no claims on anything coming out in bankruptcy?
Well, wait a minute, Melissa. As far as being ashamed, look at what the SEC has done. Look, I'm an SEC critic. I worked at the SEC for almost 20 years.
Was this completely just not their fault? I mean, shouldn't they be protected? Somebody should be protecting investors.
Well, let's look at what the SEC has done. They brought over 120 cases in the area of crypto. They've won every single one of them. They stopped initial coin offerings. They stopped lending programs. They stopped simple agreements for future tokens. They stopped Coinbase from doing a lending program before they even got started. They stopped Bitcoin spot ETF from Grayscale, which would have caused extraordinary damage. So the SEC has been very aggressive. And, they're going to be more aggressive when it comes to these crypto intermediaries, Melissa. They're Gary Gensler, the chair of the SEC, Gurbir Grewal, the enforcement director, and David Hirsch, the head of the crypto unit, have all said that these crypto intermediaries need to get into compliance, and they keep saying the same line over and over.
As a critic of the SEC, then what do you make of the
big sweep of these
John?
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And we have the IMF coming out with the truth, and we know they have no choice, saying that 2023 is going to be a difficult year for the globe. But we must use that in order to transform the economy, accelerate change. And what is she trying to say, guys? We're moving over to the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take over the economy, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep are going inside the metaverse. Now we have John Stark on CNBC. He worked for the SEC for 15 years. But what he stated about FTX was totally false. Guys, we know when it comes to blockchain, everything is recorded. And just about everybody agrees with that. If you had money on FTX, they can easily send the money back where it came from if you were a customer. And we know how many exchanges have collapsed. But guys, they always have records. You can go back to Mt. Gox. You're still going to have that record because of blockchain. They know exactly where that money is supposed to go. And they can give the customers back their money ASAP if they wanted to. Also, John Stark says the SEC is undefeated. And we know this Ripple and SEC case is about to come to an end in the first quarter of next year. And we also know XRP normally pumps in the first quarter. There will be a settlement in the next 3 months. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have Andrew Tate and his brother being arrested. One video shows that they're walking down the street with no end in sight. The other video shows they're getting straight into a car. But guys, we know all these characters that get these millions and millions of views, and the algorithm always push them at the top. They're all part of the movie. Remember, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you because he knows. When it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
I think we're all trying to figure out what happened here, of course. But, of course, I think the biggest question, especially for customers of FTX and creditors of FTX, is there any chance that some semblance of this money is going to come back to them?
Oh, that's tough to say, Andrew. One thing we know for sure is that the trustee is going to hire some really tough litigation firm to go out and get as many assets as they can. They'll hire a forensic firm as well to try to trace some of those assets. The traceability, given mixers and everything, that is used to cloak the real pathways of crypto is going to create enormous challenges. And in the meantime, the SEC will be plugging along. They'll probably stay their matter with respect to the defendants that are being prosecuted criminally, but they may consider doing things as well. For instance, they could decide to name as relief defendants Sam Bankman-Fried's parents, because they own real estate, and that real estate could have been the result of proceeds from fraud.
Do you think that
there'll be lots
money,
of activity, but it doesn't look good for those FTX creditors.
Do you think that customer money should come ahead of creditor money? How would you deal with that?
That's a very challenging situation, and I'm not sure. I think with respect to the trustee, they're going to put creditors above all else, and whether a customer is actually characterized as a creditor could put them all in the same boat. As far as the SEC is concerned, whatever sort of disgorgement or penalties which would be put into a fair fund, everything the SEC collects is going to go back to those investors who are also called customers.
Hey, John, just to follow up on that, I don't understand it. I've had other people kind of tell me a similar thing, that the customers aren't necessarily creditors and that they'd be further down the line. But I don't get it. They're the only ones who had actual skin in the game in a lot of these circumstances. Why do they get? No,
I agree, and it's hard for us to really get our arms around this, because customers in this situation, if you had your money and your stocks, if you had your stocks at Merrill Lynch or J.P. Morgan or Goldman Sachs or wherever, and there was some sort of financial catastrophe, those would still belong to you. But in the upside down world of crypto, where there's no oversight, there's total commingling, there's no examinations, no audits, no net capital requirements, no insurance, no consumer protections, nothing. All of this is sort of, and based on whatever agreement you have in terms of your terms of service, all of these assets are very difficult to nail down and associate with a particular individual. And that's the duty of the trustee. They can't just hand out money without deciding, or hand out any sort of asset without deciding whose belongs to. But in a traditional context, none of these silly decisions would need to be made. What's yours would be yours.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.